What up guys? Today we are going to be talking about the E90, E92, and E93 M3. Let's go. First off, I'm gonna give you kind of an overview of why the M division built the E90, E92, and E93 M3, and then I'm gonna explain the differences of each model year. After that, I'm gonna rate it into 4 different categories using the Ideal Cars rating system. And lastly, I'm gonna give you my ideal version of the E92 M3, the perfect one for me. So without further ado, buckle up and enjoy the ride because it is gonna be a fun one. Now the M3, which is also known as the ultimate driving machine, in general has always been a sports car manufacturers have always compared themselves to. The E90 and E92 may be the last M car that has that naturally aspirated V8. No turbos, high revs, and an absolute blast to drive. Now this generation M3 goes 0 to 60 in just 3.9 seconds and does the quarter in roughly 12.4 at 114 miles per hour. Not too shabby, BMW. Built from 2008 to 2013, there were some changes and enhancements through each model year, which I'm gonna explain now. Since 2008 was the first year for the E90, E92, and E93 M3, BMW introduced the coupe, sedan, and convertible. All M3s produced this year had the non-LED taillights, which I really think dates the car. Also, it came with the older iDrive system, which I didn't mind in mine, but the navigation system was nothing to call home about. After just 1 year, BMW decided to introduce the LCI tails on the sedan, which really updates the look of the rear end. They also ended up updating the iDrive system with a much improved interface. BMW now decided to finally give the E92 and E93 the LCI taillights, bringing the rear ends up to the 21st century. The big change for 2011 was the optional competition package, or ZCP. Now, the original window sticker was about $2,500 for this option, and it included 10mm lowering springs, a revised EDC or electronic dampening control in sport mode, my absolute favorite 359M wheels, or as most people know them, as the CSL style wheel, which, if I do say so myself, is probably the best looking wheel on any BMW ever. And the DSC, or dynamic stability control, was remapped to let you have more fun at the limit without it getting out of hand. BMW, for some reason, has this thing with mid-year updates, and the 2011 and a half was one for the books. This was the car built September 2010 or later. And not only could you get the competition package now, but you could get a whole lot more. The M button now programs your M settings so that you can set your driver preferences for stability control, steering mode, EDC, and if you have the DCT, the driver logic mode can also be set. The automatic start-stop feature is now introduced, so the car shuts completely off when you come to a stop. And you could have ordered it with manual sport seats and a new mineral white metallic paint. Looks awesome. The coupe also got new LED taillights. And then there was another little update in 2011.75 M3, which would be like March 2011 and a newer build date. It got BMW apps integration. So that meant now you could access Pandora, Facebook, Twitter, Tinder, and other apps. Not that you'd have time doing it because you'd have so much fun driving. So if you ordered a convertible, you'd have the option to get the BMW individual composition package for roughly $5,000. Now, this package made it so you could order any color as long as it was ruby red, azurite black, or moonstone. The interior came in any color as well as long as it was champagne, platinum, or rust brown. 2013 was the last year of this generation, and then it was followed by the F80 and F82. There really weren't any changes for this model year at all. So now I want to run through and give you my 2 cents on 4 different ideal car categories for this generation M3. I'm going to rate it on performance, driving experience, curb appeal, and then last but not least, value. Each score will be out of 5 points, so let's first talk about performance. Now, I think that the numbers speak for themselves. This is a great all-around sports car. With nearly 50-50 weight distribution, this M is able to hide its heft rather well. Now, the brakes do like to fade a little bit quicker than I would like, especially at a track day, but the complaints are definitely few and far between, and if I were to rate this out of 5, I'd give it a 4.1 out of 5 for performance. If you haven't seen, up here is the video where we talked all about the E90, E92, and E93 M3 driving experience. Go check it out. If you've ever driven an M3 before, you will feel right at home in the cockpit of this M3. There's just something about this experience that just feels so special. Like the cars before it, keeping the engine high in the revs is extremely rewarding, and the stiff chassis is confidence inspiring. The M3 is an absolute driver's car, and it deserves 4.2 out of 5. Now, the one thing that I absolutely loved about the E90 M3 that I owned was the fact that it flew under the radar. I mean, besides the bulging hood, most people just assumed it was a regular 3 Series, but you smashed the gas pedal and quickly people knew it was something extremely special. What's so neat about this generation M3 is that it can be dressed up for a black tie affair or dressed down just as easily. Now for curb appeal, I think about what type of attention it would get if you were to valet park this car. Luckily, I've done it multiple times, and I feel that people that know cars will take a photo of the car, but they don't necessarily take a photo in front of the car. So with that said, I give it a 3.7 out of 5. So is this generation a good buy yet? Meaning, would I use the ideal car strategies on the E90 or E92 M3? To answer that question, let's take a look at the depreciation over the last year for this generation. As you can see, they're depreciating anywhere from 9% all the way up to 20% in the past year. I definitely think that depreciation is slowing, given the fact that more F80 and F82 cars are entering the market and exchanging hands on the second-hand market now. I think that prices are gonna dip a little bit more over the next couple of years, but not a whole lot. Now, taking all things into consideration, if you negotiate one properly, I think for the price, this is an extremely good value. I give it 4 out of 5. So if you add up all the scores and then times it by 5 to get it out of 100, you get a nice round solid score of 80, which is not bad. So if I were in the market to buy another M3 of this generation, which one would be my ideal car? Well, my first one was an 08 E90 M3 Silverstone with a 6-speed. Now, I'm one of the first to say, save the manuals, but I had the opportunity recently to drive a Comp Package M with the DCT transmission. And boy, it was impressive. An ideal car is one that gives you both performance and value. And in this case, my ideal M3 would be a 2009 or 2010 coupe with that carbon fiber roof and a DCT transmission. I'd look for one in Alpine White with black interior and call it a day. And guys, there you have it. That would be my ideal E92 M3. Now let me know in the comments what spec would be your ideal car. Also, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Smash the like button, and if you're new, my name's Brad, and please subscribe to Ideal Cars. Now, if you want to check out what is the most reliable M3 that you can buy right now, click over here. And if you click on this side, you'll see what YouTube recommends to you. Either way, you can't lose, and as always, keep living that ideal lifestyle.